So the other day I was teaching a lesson and I asked my student to write a circle, and then I found myself saying, wow, that was a really nice round circle. And then next thing I was saying is, I know that sounds funny because all circles are supposed to be round, but you would not believe how many circles I see every single day that are anything but round. And so that made me think I should probably do a little geometry series. So this video is going to be about circles, and then I'm also going to do a couple others about different shapes that are really helpful to ride. Hi, I'm Ruby. I'm a whole horsemanship trainer, and it is my mission to help you and your horse to have a better connection and find more magic in the day-to-day moments through whole horsemanship practices like riding better geometry, which we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to talk about why you need to ride good circles, as well as how to actually do it. If you're on my email list, check your inbox for the weekly resource that will help you with this mission this weekend of riding better circles. And if you're not on my email list, don't worry, you can always add now and you can still get access to all of this and all other Magic Moments resources there. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about before we talk about how to ride a circle, and those are why we would even need to ride a good circle in the first place. So a lot of times what I see when people are learning to ride circles, because I teach riders of all different levels, is they kind of have these like jerky motions and their circles end up, rather than being round, kind of being this like ambiguous like blob shape. But what that does to their horse is kind of like tossing their head each direction as the rider is trying to kind of control the horse onto a circle. And what that does, the whole kind of idea for me of riding a circle is that it helps to supple your horse. I always say circles are suppling. So when we ride a circle, it helps our horse to become a little bit more bent to the inside. It can help them to round over their back. It can help to engage the hind end. And a circle that's used correctly can also help to kind of balance your horse in a really beautiful way that then you can carry on to the next straight line. And so a lot of times we'll use circles as a tool when we're teaching, because maybe a rider isn't quite ready yet to learn how to supple or balance their horse without the use of a circle. And so it's kind of a little trick we can use where we can say, ride a circle, and the horse will kind of self-correct onto a little bit more balanced gait. But it's also something that we can use with like a younger horse as an example. And so if you're riding a horse, or maybe a horse that's a little distracted, you might ride a circle because the horse just has more natural incentive to be balanced and soft on a circle. They have to like think a little bit more. They can't just kind of like willy-nilly go around the circle. Does that make sense? So circles are really helpful for a lot of different things, but if you're riding your circle with like jagged lines and corners, you're actually kind of being counterproductive, because now you're making your horse kind of resist the circle and you're making them less balanced. So riding a correct circle is really important. So let's think about the shape of a circle. And a perfect circle has no straight lines, no corners, and the arc is the same all the way around. We're not seeing kind of egg or teardrop, but really round circle. You have this consistency where your horse is able to find a shape that works for them and kind of maintain that around and around as many times as you need to go around that circle. Bigger circles might allow for a little bigger stride. Smaller circles are going to kind of encourage your horse to collect and round up and balance a little bit more. We can add two circles together and make a figure eight, and that change of direction is going to do a lot of really beautiful things for helping your horse to find the right frame and helping them to balance. But what a lot of times I see is people ride these circles with a corner or one side a little bigger than the other, and when they ride a figure eight, I often see one side is big and the other side is small. And so what we're really working toward today is how to ride a better circle so that you get all the really wonderful benefits of riding a good circle without kind of working against yourself with all those jagged lines. Okay, so when we're talking about how to ride a good circle, one of the most important things is to keep your eyes up. A lot of times when I tell someone to ride a circle, I see them do this. And what that does is what they're thinking they're doing is they're looking for obstacles on the ground. Maybe they're looking for the dressage letter or the cone, or if they're working around jumps, they're looking for something on the ground that they need to look out for. But really what that does for their horse is it throws them completely off balance right away. And often the horse ends up then just kind of spinning around a really tight circle. So instead, the biggest thing you want to do is keep your eyes up and your head level, and that will help the rest of your body to also stay level as you go around your circle. I think about a lot when I first started driving my driving instructor said, don't look right at the road right in front of your car because it'll make you swerve because you're going to be more reactive. But look out at the horizon a little bit more and look where you're going. Use your peripheral vision to notice if there's anything in your path. So same thing when you're riding. When you're going to ride a circle, keep your eyes up kind of at eye level, and you're just going to be looking kind of out around your circle this way, keeping your shoulders and your hips nice and level, and keeping your head and eye line level. And what that's going to do is help to balance your horse, and it's also going to make your circle a lot more consistent. The other thing is, instead of making kind of jerky movements around your circle, think about just opening your inside shoulder and opening your inside hip backwards, kind of peeling open the direction you want to go, keeping everything else really level and the same, and keeping your seat bones even in your saddle. And that's going to help to just kind of gently bring your horse onto the arc. For a smaller circle, you might peel back more, and for a larger circle, you might do a little bit less. The other thing is we want to think about your legs. So a lot of times, especially if there's something that's kind of magnetizing your horse toward or away from a point in the arena, like a lot of horses, it's the gate or another horse, you're going to find that you're going to need one leg or the other to help make your circle round. So even best of intentions, you open and you're asking for a perfect arc, your horse is going to the gate over there, and your circle is going to end up looking like this because your horse is going to be pulling you toward the gate every time you go over there. And so what you want to do instead is when you're on the gate side of your circle, you're going to use a little bit of outside leg to help keep your horse in on the circle while you're still peeling open this way. So you're not turning their head, you're just keeping the circle the same, and you're keeping your body alignment the same, but you're adding a little bit of outside leg to help kind of hone the circle this way, almost kind of the way like a potter would on a pottery wheel, right? You're just kind of adding a little bit of pressure to try to make that circle a little bit more symmetrical. And then on the other side where you're furthest from the gate and they're pulling you toward the gate on your other leg, you're going to use your inside leg to help push the circle back out. And so now instead of an egg, we have a nice circle. And I think those are all the really aids you really need to be concerned about. So now let's talk about a few exercises that will help you to ride better circles. So one really great one that I like to use a lot in lessons when I'm teaching, like let's say a 20-meter circle or 15-meter circle for the first time, is I will use some cornstarch, because the cornstarch eventually just dissolves into the arena, and I'll mark out the size of the 20-meter circle on the ground. This can be really helpful. You can do this for yourself before your ride, or you can have your trainer or coach do this for you as well. And each time you go around, you'll notice that there's a little bit less cornstarch. And so you're just going to go around and around and around and around at the walk, at the trot, at the canter, whatever you want. But you're just going to keep kind of working your way around this circle until eventually there's no cornstarch left and you have to kind of do it by memory. But you're going to find that you're going to have the feeling of that circle in your body. I really recommend just spending a couple of lessons really working on circles and having your coach really help you with your geometry, because this is such a valuable tool, and the more you do it, the more it will just be in your body, and then you'll be able to do it anywhere. You won't have to stay on this 20-meter circle. Another way you could do this is have somebody lunge you. Because a lot of times on the lunge line, the circle will be really symmetrical all the way around, and same thing, you're just trying to get the feeling in your body of that arc being nice and smooth, no sudden movements or changes. The next exercise that I think is really helpful is practicing spiraling in and out. You can do this in a round pen, which is really helpful because it's already a physical structure around you as a circle. You can also do this in an open space or in an arena, but all you're going to do is pick a circle size, and you're going to just very slowly over the course of 3 or 4 circles work your way down to a small circle, and then very slowly over 3 or 4 circles work your way back out. The benefit of this is that you're practicing using your legs to really kind of hone the shape and size of your circle as you go around, and you're going to find that you're going to need a little bit more bend on your smaller circles and a little less bend on your larger circles, and this is going to make you give you a more dynamic version of the first exercise I mentioned. But this is also going to really help your horse to learn to balance. You can do this with correct bend, and then eventually when you get good at it, you can do it with counter bend. You can do this at the walk, trot, and canter, and any size circle you like. So this is a really great kind of flexible exercise that you can use anytime with any horse you're riding to help them to supple, and also to help you to learn to ride better circles. The next exercise that I really love is a figure 8 exercise, and the big thing I always point out about this is I want to see figure 8, not infinity sign. So when you're changing directions in your figure 8, there should be one moment where you're straight facing I don't know if there's a rail maybe you could set up at. So you're going around, and when you change directions, there's one moment of straightness before you switch to the other direction. This is the most challenging of the circling exercises, but it's really, really helpful because there is a change of bend. It's really good for practicing balance and suppling, and you really notice when your right circle is different than your left circle. So a lot of times if people have a hip that's a little bit more mobile or less mobile than the other, or they tend to sit a little deeper in one seat bone or the other, or same with the shoulders, you'll really see this in this exercise. So it's a really, really good one to watch yourself as well as to have someone coach you on. So what you want to do for this one is set out 2 cones, and I go by paces. So I usually do 10 to 15 paces apart is usually a really good place to start. And I always say, imagine someone's lunging you from the center cone on a lunge line, and you want to keep that rope the same kind of tautness all the way around. So I always start this one at a walk, but you can also do this at the trot and canter as well. And your goal is to stay the same distance from the cone all the way around your circle. A lot of times, in fact, almost every time I do this exercise, people make an egg the first few times around. And so you just really want to practice getting a really nice circle where you're always the same distance from that cone. Once you can kind of get the right direction, then you're going to add this change of direction to the left, and same thing, you're going to try to stay the same distance from the cone. Almost always you'll find one circle your horse is wanting to fall in and the other the horse is wanting to fall out, and you're going to end up with something like this. And so your goal is to kind of try to make it even in that figure 8 form again. So going around and around, and then once that gets easy and you can do that without having one circle significantly larger or smaller, and while having both actually circles and not eggs, and figure 8 not infinity sign, and you have those 3 things, then you're going to have someone on the ground start moving your cones closer together. So one step closer together, and you're going to go around again. So now your circles are slightly smaller. And then again, one step closer together, and you're going to go around again. And you're going to keep moving the cones closer and closer until your circles are as small as you can do correctly. Once your circles are so small that you can't physically do them and stay balanced, you know you've gone small enough. And then that's the end of the exercise. So that's a really good one for any level of rider. Again, you can do it walk, trot, or canter, and there's always something to learn from that, no matter what level rider or horse you have. That's just a really helpful one for circles. So I hope that those were helpful. I hope that that helps you to ride better circles. Please let me know in the comments how that goes for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to hug your horse for me.